This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or simply making a donation. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today's video is just another one of these where I blether away to the camera and talk about stuff. And the stuff I thought I'd talk about today are essentially 5 incidents from the past 30 years of me teaching the guitar and playing the guitar for a living, where I've not exactly covered myself in glory. Embarrassment at the time, but with the benefit of hindsight, even I can admit that there is a giggle or two to be had here. So if you're having a rough day, if for any reason you are feeling a little bit of a chump for whatever the cause, then just watch this video and maybe you can just think to yourself, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. Let's get started with the first tale.
No, he's not okay for next week.
Now this one relates to the time when I just started teaching the guitar. I'd been at it a few months. This is the very early 1990s, and one of the chaps I was teaching was an older gentleman. He was retired, and he was doing pretty well. He was picking up his basic chords, and he was having some fun with it, and, he was embarking on a new hobby for his retirement. Excuse me, there's my phone. Anyway, one day, I got a phone call from his daughter. And let's call the gentleman John Smith. That's not his real name, but that's what the name we'll use here. And she phoned me up and she said, "Hello, is that the guitar teacher?" I said, "Yes." She says, "This is John Smith's daughter. I'm afraid he won't be able to make his lesson." "Oh, dear me, I'm sorry to hear that. What's the problem?" "Well, I'm afraid he had a heart attack yesterday and he didn't make it. I'm afraid to say he's passed away." And at that point, a reflex action kicked in. When anybody rings up to make a cancellation for a lesson, the first words out of my mouth are just an instinct to say, "So is he okay for next week then?" And I actually said it. So there you go. One of those moments where you want the ground to open up and swallow you whole. Unfortunately, it didn't. Obviously, I apologised and explained it was just a reflex, knee-jerk, instinctive reaction to a cancellation, and bless her, the poor lady was very understanding, and I obviously then passed on my condolences, but it's just one of those things where my foot was well and truly in my mouth. Next.
No one can be that stupid, can they?
Apparently I can. This story comes from around about the same sort of time as the last one, the early 1990s, and I was auditioning for a band. And it was just your typical run-of-the-mill working men's club cabaret type outfit, doing top 40 kind of pop rock sort of stuff, Bon Jovi, Bryan Adams, all that kind of shtick. And I turned up for the audition with my Japanese Fender Stratocaster and my Marshall valve state combo I think I was using at the time, and what else? I had my pedal board and loads of spare leads which become relevant in the story, and plugged it all in and was all ready to go into the first number. Except there was absolute silence coming from my amp. A Trappist monk would have been proud of me. So what's the first thing you do? Well, you think, I bet it's a dodgy lead, so you swap out your guitar lead. No difference. So then you swap out the lead from the pedal board to the amp. No difference. And the amp was fine. I could hear the amp hiss coming through. So, okay, there's like a bunch of pedals on the pedal board, like chorus, delay, bit of flange, 3 or 4 pedals and, patch leads between. I bet it's one of those pedals that's gone wonky. So swapped up all of the patch leads between them. Still nothing. And by this time, the guys in the band who I'm auditioning for are starting to, look at their watches and, we've got some other people to listen to, can you get a move on? I'll be fine in a moment, lads, fine. And then it would have to be the drummer, wouldn't it? It would have to be the drummer that discovered this. He walked over to me, kneeled down, and took a look at the volume control on my guitar and went like that. And suddenly, it wasn't silent anymore. Yes, so there you go. Always check your volume control. That's the moral of that story. I didn't get the job, by the way. Next.
You can't be a rock god when you're 6'7".
Okay, round about a few years later, this is probably the sort of mid-90s, I was in just the kind of working men's club band that I've been describing earlier. And, you know, when you're in this kind of band, you kind of get used to playing on some big stages. Some of the concert rooms in these venues are pretty big, and you can feel like a little bit of a rock star. And this had gone to my head a little bit. And there was a song where there was a big guitar solo on the end. I think it was that Phil Collins tune with the one that Eric Clapton guested on. I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was that tune. Anyway, big guitar solo, big lead break at the end. Big moment in the set, and it was actually suggested to me by the keyboard player in the band. When we put this number into the set, that, you know, rather than just stand there and play your guitar, be a bit more be a bit more of a rock star about it. You know, throw some shapes around. So, you know, I was doing the old Hendrix thing, you know, back behind the head, playing like that. And when you're on a big stage, you can do that. But this particular night, we were doing one of our rare appearances in a pub. And it didn't have quite as high a ceiling as the stages I was used to playing on. And I think you can see where this is going. Along comes the big guitar solo, guitar up over the shoulders, round the back. And then the first thing I know is it goes dark. And there's a shower of red-hot bits of glass falling on me because I'd taken the lights out. Not only had I taken the lights out, but it had obviously caused some kind of catastrophic accident with the electrics in the venue, and the whole place was blanked out. And that was pretty much the end of that gig, it has to be said. So there you go. You can't be a rock god when you're 6'7". Next.
A trouser accident.
A trouser accident, yes. This same band I was talking about just now, we had a dress code, and the dress code was black and white because it looks best under kind of the lights that we were using. And I had 2 sets of stage clothes, you know, up there for thinking, down there for dancing, you know, one in the wash, one wearing. And basically I had a set that was like a white shirt and black trousers, and another set of stage clothes that was a black shirt and white trousers. And it's that outfit I was wearing this particular night. Now, if you've ever played on the North East club circuit, you'll know that the dressing rooms are essentially just dumping grounds for broken furniture, or furniture that's kind of salvageable. And this was the case in this club. And there were some wooden chairs there. And I sat on one of these wooden chairs because they didn't look damaged. And in fact, they were fine. They'd just been repaired. And part of that repair process was that they had been given a nice brown coat of wood stain that I sat on in white trousers. Yes. And my bandmates, well, they very charitably didn't want to kind of cause me any embarrassment by letting me know that I had a big brown stain across the seat of my trousers, and let me go out on stage and play the entire gig with a brown sticky bum. Yes, so there you go. Always check before you sit down. That's the moral of that story. Next.
Beware the vengeful caretaker.
Right, this one relates to a time in the mid-90s when I was doing some work in schools. I used to teach a full day guitar lessons in this one local school, and the final thing in the calendar on that day was I would do an after-school guitar club. And I had a little bit of a break before, like between the sort of the last lesson that I did and this after school thing. So, you know, I was a smoker in those days, and, you know, I nipped off outside for a quick cigarette, leaving my guitar and amplifier and a boombox that I used to play backing tracks on. This is just pre that sort of era when you could make your own CDs, so everything was still on cassette in these days. So I had me backing tracks on cassette, you know, just things for to play along with in the lesson, and yeah, and all was set for the after school guitar club. But the thing is, I had a bit of a prank thing going on with the caretaker in this school, whose name was Mr. Ankam, Ankam. That's going to be significant in a moment. And, you know, we kind of kept trying to do a little bit of one-upmanship with each other and playing pranks on each other. And the week before, I'd been walking past his office and seen his name, well, office cum workshop, and seen his name on the door, Mr. Ankam, caretaker. And his name was on, you know, those kind of letters that slot into a little frame that they kind of slide in. So it was too good an opportunity to miss. So I slid the letters out and took the M out, turned it upside down, and put it at the beginning of the word. So you can guess what that then read. And I was quite pleased with myself over that. And I knew he'd plot some revenge, and he did. This week I'd gone in and I'd gone out for my cigarette before the after school guitar club, and left all my gear in a locked classroom that Mr. Ankam had a key for. And he'd obviously put some thought into this, because when I came back in, I looked to make sure everything was okay, and the cassette in the cassette deck was as it should be. It was the same kind of brand that I'd used, a Memorex C90. Anybody else remember those? So he'd obviously put some thought into this, but basically, as you can probably gather, what he'd done is he'd swapped the tape over. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the output of an Australian balladeer called Kevin Bloody Wilson. I wasn't until that moment, but he was, obviously. And there's a song by Kevin Bloody Wilson called Oi, Santa Claus, you where's me bike? And he'd put that cassette in. And not only had he queued it up on the song, but he'd also queued it up at the chorus of the song. So, you know, when that line actually comes out. And I'll leave a link in the description so you can hear the actual song itself. And, of course, I said, OK, children, today we're going to learn how to play Wonderwall, or whatever it was. And I've got a backing track that we can all play along with. And I hit play, and then, of course, that line comes out, and, you know, hit the stop button. Now, the worrying thing was I was in front of not worrying, but kind of telling thing is I was in front of a classroom full of 12 and 13-year-olds who knew the lyrics to this song and kept singing it even after I'd turned it off. And it's like, oh, sir, put that one back on again. It's great that we're going to learn that one, sir. And, yes. So there you go. How I never got fired from that job, I don't know, but, you know, I didn't. So there you go. There are 5 tales of incidents where I've not exactly been covered in glory, and I hope that's made you feel a little bit better about, you know, whatever miserable situation you may be in if you're in one. So there you go. That's pretty much it for this video, folks. I hope I've given you a little bit of a giggle, and if I have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not give me a like while you're at it. I'm probably going to squeeze in at least one more video before the tinsel-induced madness descends upon us. Where are we now? It's the 13th of December. So yeah, I should probably get at least one more video out before the big day. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And on the subject of Christmas, don't forget, I have a Christmas charity single out. It's a cover of the old Wizard tune, I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day. It's available across all major platforms, links down below, and all proceeds will go to Zoe's Place Baby Hospice, a charity in Middlesbrough which provides palliative, respite and end-of-life care to children under 5 with terminal illnesses. A very worthy cause which you can help by buying a copy of the single or just listening to it on Spotify. So please do that, it would be much appreciated. And with that, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you for watching. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time round. Bye for now, folks.